Humid from a weather standpoint here at Great American Ballpark on this July the 3rd afternoon as the Reds, in one fell swoop, wrap up this series, this short homestand, and interleague play for 2011 on this Independence Day weekend. It's the Reds and the Indians on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Reds baseball here at Great American Ballpark as the Reds and the Indians wrap up play for 2011. We hope the Independence Day weekend is going well for you. We hope we can make it a little bit better for you by bringing you a Reds victory today. Chris, from an offensive standpoint, this team has put up some pretty good numbers this year, and yet there are other areas of the offense where they're just not clicking. It's been have and have not.
Well, you know, the number of runs you score as a team is very important. Obviously, at the end of the year, those teams that score more than their opponents are always going to win. And if you score a lot more than your opponents, you're going to be in the playoffs. And the Reds don't have a problem with runs, but if you look at them individually, you say, well, they didn't score many runs yesterday, and they didn't score many runs the day before, and they lost both those ball games. What is going on with the offense? Well, runners in scoring position, that's not all that bad of an average, but they leave a lot of runners on base. They do get them on, but they're not able always to get them over and get them in. And that by far is the most important thing. And that will lead you to a lot of losses in very close ball games, as you see that they are the second worst in all of baseball in one-run ball games. So that's the thing that Dusty Baker would love to be able to change, get some clutch hitting, and maybe his guys can do it here on this hot, sweaty Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, they score only 3 runs in this series thus far and leave a dozen men on in the loss here yesterday. Meanwhile, from a pitching standpoint, Mike Leake will go today to wrap up this series, and boy, wasn't he good his last time out.
Well, he was very good his last time out, and aside from Johnny Cueto, Mike Leake is the second best pitcher on this team. I mean, this guy just simply goes out and throws strikes. He goes after the hitters. He pitches to contact. He's very, very efficient with his pitch count because he's a guy that has a lot of confidence in his stuff. So when you field your position, when you hold runners on, when you can hit, you do all the little things in addition to keeping the ball down in the zone, you're going to pitch pretty well, and that's where Mike Leake is right now. And boy, oh boy, do the Reds need him to have a big game today.
It's the Reds and the Indians from Great American Ballpark, an Independence Day weekend here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Now, the big crowd expected here at Great American Ballpark. They've had 2 consecutive sellouts, looking for another one here today. Let's check in on the weather before we get today's game started. To do that, let's go to Aaron Seabury at WKRC.
Good afternoon, Reds fans. We'll see a hot and humid day today. During the ball game, I do think we'll see generally a partly cloudy sky by the first pitch, 86, 88 by the 5th inning. Still that chance for some isolated showers and thunderstorms, 89 by the final out. Keep an umbrella or poncho handy.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Well, today it is our honor to broadcast the game on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. We encourage fans to text those troops watching abroad a message of thanks, love, and support to 37664, which we will be scrolling throughout the game. Also, in a first for Fox Sports Ohio, troops overseas who are able can also go to foxsportsohio.com and can send a message for loved ones back home. From all of us, thanks to all who have served and are serving our country. We hope you enjoy today's broadcast. We'll be stepping aside, coming back with baseball from Cincinnati right after this. Was brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. By your local Ford dealer, Ford, drive one. By the Regional Tourism Network, book your trip at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline, whenever you're feeling good and hungry, it's Skyline time. Reds have taken the field here at Great American Ballpark. Mike Leake gets his first start against the Tribe in his career, and here's the lineup he will face today. Put out there by Manny Acta, Michael Brantley. Court Phillips gets his first start as Drupal Cabrera, then Carlos Santana, Grady Sizemore, and Lonnie Chisenhall. Shelley Duncan in the lineup for the first time. Lou Marson catches all 3 games, and Mitch Talbot will do the pitching. Mike Leake at 7-4. with a 3.89 ERA as he gets this one started, his 14th start.
He is 7 games over 500 in his career, having won 15, lost 8 overall. Earned run average a little bit higher this year than it was last year. However, he's a guy that gets a lot of runs in his support. And boy, did the Reds need him really to pitch a big game today. The Reds are looking at a team that is 9-0 during their last 9 games against the National League Central Division. The Indians have just rolled over the National League Central.
Leak has just been very, very good, hasn't he, Chris, since he came back in late May from Louisville?
Well, he's got a lot of confidence, and I think that's the biggest thing for Mike Leake and any young pitcher is that he's got confidence in his stuff to throw strikes.
That ball yanked down the line by Michael Brantley will be extra bases to get this game started. He had the big hit in yesterday afternoon's game, that 3-run homer in the third, accounting for all the Indians' runs. Gets the 2-base hit here.
Well, this guy's been a thorn in the side of the Reds, has he not? Not like he picks up all that many base hits against the Reds in this series, but when he does, it seems to be at very bad times. Here, a leadoff double in the first inning really kind of sets the pace for things here. Now you wonder now, with somewhat of a different lineup that Manny Acta has run out there, whether he will play more National League baseball here this afternoon, maybe have Cord Phelps lay down a bunt right here to get his runner from second to third.
14th double of the year by Brantley has given the Indians a great opportunity here in the first. Miguel Cairo cheats in. You can see him there at third, expecting a bunt from Cord Phillips. They have 3 consecutive switch hitters from Phelps to Asdrubal Cabrera to Carlos Santana. Let's see if they try to move on Bruce's arm, and they will not, as Jay got himself in great position to throw and comes up with a classic. Here's our forward defensive look behind the Reds right-hander Mike Leake this afternoon. Fred Lewis, Chris Heisey in center in place of Drew Stubbs this afternoon, along with Jay Bruce. On the infield, Cairo Renteria left side, Phillips Votto right side. Ramon Hernandez catches Mike Leake here this afternoon. Leake now against Asdrubal Cabrera. Switch hitter who in this series thus far 2 out of 9. Big 2-run homer that he hit, part of a 3-home run assault by the Indians on Friday night. Take a look at our Farmers Insurance report card on this shortstop, switch hitter Asdrubal Cabrera.
Well, he is by far the best player on this Cleveland Indians team. He may be the best shortstop in all the American League. A .296 batting average. He hits like he's a number 3 hitter in the lineup, and bang bang at third, but it looks like he just got in ahead of the tag.
Michael Brantley gets his 10th of the year with a left-handed hitter up there and a clean view for Hernandez.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing right there, and that's probably what irritates Ramon Hernandez the most, is that he's got nobody to throw over in that right-handed batter's box. But you steal third base on the pitcher. You've got to be able to stop the runner. You've got to be able to do a lot of things to keep him close. Now the infield has to be brought in to try to prevent that run.
He had that walking lead and was able to get over there at third base, his 10th steal of the year, and an excellent opportunity now for the Indians to score first still again.
Interesting here how Dusty Baker is going to play, bring that infield in the first inning. I'm not so sure that's not a commentary on how his club has struggled in this series offensively.
And we talked about that certainly in the open, and this team's run production has gone down each month. 5.3 runs a game in April, 4.6 in May, 4.4 in June. So they're not putting up the offense that, when you look at their numbers overall, it would indicate. Nicely done there, and a strikeout by Mike Leake of Asdrubal Cabrera.
Well, it's almost like this particular slider that he throws, and he threw it, I think, 3 times in a row to Cabrera, is invisible to Cabrera. I mean, he had a very weak swing for a guy with a runner at third base and easily the best player on that Indians team. He didn't look like he saw that ball at all. So Leake does his part of the job to get out of the inning, and you got one man ahead of him.
That'll be Carlos Santana. Santana, with runners in scoring position this year, is hitting only .222. So let's see what Mike Leake can do against him here in the opening inning of this July 3rd game here in Cincinnati. Santana yesterday 1 for 4 in the series, 3 out of 8. Hit his 12th home run here Friday night. Reds leave after the game. Destination St. Louis. They start 7-game road trip that will take them to the All-Star break. Indians go home, and they have the New York Yankees in town beginning tomorrow night. Indians closing out a 9-game road trip, which right now, thanks to the 2 wins in this series, sits at 4 wins, 4 losses. They came in here Friday night a half game behind Detroit. They start today 1.5 ahead of that second place Tigers team. And from the other side of things, it's amazing that the Reds, here they are, a 500 team, Chris, at 42 and 42, yet only 3 games out.
Well, that might be a pretty good indication of where that Central Division is. A lot of people think, well, they're not very good because there's nobody running away with this division. But the other side of that argument is, hey, maybe there's nobody running away with it because all those teams are evenly matched, especially with the Pittsburgh Pirates playing much better baseball this year than a lot of people thought they would. Slider again.
What a nice job to pitch around the leadoff double, including a pair of strikeouts and that inning ender against Carlos Santana. This Reds lineup this afternoon, Fred Lewis back in that leadoff spot again, Phillips and Votto. Then Bruce in the number 4 hole, Hernandez and Chris Heisey playing center field. Renteria, Cairo, and Leak, the bottom 3 in Dusty's lineup here for game number 85 of the 2011 season. 42 up, 42 down for this Reds club. They face Mitch Talbot for the first time this year.
Well, this year, yes, he pitched against him last year. Pitched a real good, or make it in 2009. Pitched a real good ball game against him. Then 7 innings of 1-run baseball. But he has really struggled recently. He's actually been more of a traffic cop out there than he has a pitcher over the last few starts because he has given up so many base runners. You've been seeing him run all over the place.
Makes his 10th start of the year. He's won 2, lost 4, but he missed some time, a little over a month, with a sore right elbow in the middle of April and didn't come back till right near the end of May.
Yeah, more than a month on that. They say his elbow is fine right now. Last 5 starts, he's 0-3, so if you're picking a day that the Reds should be able to break out offensively, you would think, based on what you see on paper, that this would be a good matchup for the Reds. What Talbot does have, though, that the Reds hitters are aware of, and you should be aware of, is that he's got a swing and miss changeup. It's like a screwball effect. He'll be running away from left-handers all day long. And he holds it in a very peculiar style. Maybe we'll show you a little later on after he gets that pitch going.
Lewis is out on 4 pitches to get the Reds' first inning going, and we'll take a look at the Indians defensively behind Mitch Talbot, our 4 defensive look. Michael Brantley, Grady Sizemore, and Shelley Duncan, his first start of the series out in right. Lonnie Chisenhall has Drupal Cabrera the left side. Cord Phelps, his first start at second, along with Carlos Santana. And there's Lou Marson catching the day game after the night game on the receiving end of Mitch Talbot's pitches. Marson catching all 3 games of this series. Here's Brandon Phillips. Big day for Brandon yesterday. Actually, 2 days ago, he went 0 for 5 yesterday, but 3 hits in the game here on Friday, putting him at 1,000 in his career. What did he say about it? He said, Pete Rose, look out, I'm coming after you. For this Reds team yesterday, 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. They had some big at bats, didn't they, late in the game? 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, down 3-0, and then after the Votto homer in the 8th, 3-1, it just could not come up with the big hit. Brandon just under 300 at 296. .20 for his last 49. 408 average. Chisenhall, who had not bobbled the ball yet in this series, bobbles one there, and the Reds have a runner aboard.
That looks like it's going to be a routine ground ball to the third baseman. Young kid just brought up a couple of weeks ago. And that ball just comes up and hits him on the heel of the glove, ends up going through his legs for an error. So the Reds will reach Brandon Phillips.
That'll bring Joey Votto to the plate. Joey's 7th in the league at hitting .316. Yesterday, a pair of hits and 5 ABs, including that home run to straightaway center in the 8th inning. Kept things alive in the 9th with a single to left against Vinny Pestano, who saved his first game. And where they really showed their bullpen yesterday, Chris, after Fausto Carmona had to leave with an injury after 2. They were just stellar out of that pen.
Well, the Indians bullpen has been their strength really for the last couple of years. That has been the strong point in their ball club. And they really showed it again yesterday. Even without their closer, who's been missing the first couple of games, they get Chris Perez back today. So as strong as their bullpen was, it's even stronger today. Before the at-bat began, Joey Votto left the on-deck circle with one bat. Got announced as a hitter, turned around, looked to the bat boy, and said, "Bring me my other bat." I'm not sure he was trading in maybe the doubles bat for a homer bat. You think?
I hope.
That's the changeup that I was talking about from Mitch Talbot. It's an odd kind of a grip. He holds it actually between his ring finger and his middle finger, and he really turns it over. And this ball, if it goes right, will go down and away this way to a left-handed hitter. And unless you stay on it, you're going to pull off of it, hit yourself a ground ball, and designed really for left-handers to hit into a double play.
Votto strikes out, so 2 strikeouts in the inning for Mitch Talbot, and he'll work now on Jay Bruce.
Well, Talbot has done this a couple of times to the two left-handers that he's seen so far. He gets them velocitized. He gets them looking for that changeup down in the mid-70s, and then he throws a fastball around 92 upstairs. He did it against Lewis, and now he's done it against Joey Votto.
Jay with 18 homers and 51 runs batted in as he steps in there. 1 for 4 in yesterday's game. 1 out of 7 in the series. Just looking up here, the Cleveland bullpen, the second best bullpen in the American League with a 3.02 ERA, trailing only the Yankees.
Wow.
Out in front of that and dribbled it out in front of the plate, and Bruce will make it close but is out at first, and so the error by Chisenhall does not hurt the Tribe, and we have a scoreless first inning. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. How about the announcement today of the All-Stars in the National and the American League? There's a look at the National League stars. Those are the starters as voted by the fans. Couple Milwaukee players in there. In fact, 3 Brewers on there. And who made it from the Reds? These 3. Joey Votto back as an all-star. Made it for the first time last year. Brandon Phillips back again this year for his second appearance as an all-star. And Jay Bruce, on the strength of that terrific May that he had, one of the all-stars on this Reds team. Congratulations to all 3.
Been a while since the Reds have had, in my recollection anyway, 3 everyday players or regular field players on the all-star team. That's a great tribute. You know, Joey Votto, you figure, was going to make it. Brandon Phillips certainly deserves it. I feel he should have deserved the starter, but you know how they do that with the fan votes. Ricky Weeks beat him out. But congratulations also to Jay Bruce. And you said it right. When you're the player of the month in the month of May, people remember you for a long time. And hopefully this will give Jay Bruce a little confidence here this last week before the All-Star break comes around, and he'll get on fire like he did in the month of May.
It's funny because here you are, a 500 team. You don't see many 500 teams, Chris, put 3 guys on the All-Star team. For instance, Cleveland, here they are leading their division by a game and a half and 7 over. They have Asdrubal Cabrera as an All-Star and Chris Perez. They only get 2. Here's Chisenhall with the leadoff man having been disposed of. Only in his 5th game at the big league level since being called up from AAA Columbus. Hitting .313, 2 out of 8 in this series. 44 runs batted in is where he sat down in Columbus, 4th best in the International League upon his call-up. They just were not getting the production they needed from third base. And Hanrahan, after a good April, he had under 200 in May, under 200 in June, and they decided to make the change to their #1 prospect, this youngster, Lonnie Chisenhall, only 21 years old. Chisenhall, after getting 1 hit in 4 trips yesterday, doing the same on Friday, has a hit in all 4 games which he has played here at the big league level. Make that 5 as he singles here to center field. Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, chat with our Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy and read his article about Hall of Famer Harmon Killebrew. It's only on FoxSportsOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. And fans, check out our new show, Boys in the Hall, featuring Harmon Killebrew this Sunday following the Reds and the Tribe, only on Fox Sports Ohio. Chisenhall a single to center, second hit by the Indians. Reds have reluctantly given up the Ohio Cup here in 2011, having lost all 5 games against.
Where did you notice the reluctance in that? Was it the series in Cleveland when they lost 3 in a row, or was it being blanked the first 2 games here?
Walking through the clubhouse today, Chris, I could tell the reluctance of knowing that that cup was not going to stay around. You didn't feel that same thing?
I did not feel it, no.
We were looking in different directions.
Well, what I felt was what I saw was a team that was looking in a different direction when the Indians came to town this week.
Well, the cup goes by. Indians have won the 5 games played between these two thus far. There's never been a full series sweep by either side. Reds won 5 out of 6 at one time. Indians' best has been 4 out of 6, but here they are trying to sweep. Shelley Duncan, who has home run power, shows it right there with his 3rd of the year, and the Tribe have jumped in front again, their 5th home run of this series.
I'm sure there's a way to figure it out, but I would love to see how many home runs Reds pitchers have given up this year on 0-2 pitches. This is an 0-2 pitch. The idea of an 0-2 pitch is that you expand the strike zone. The batting average on an 0-2 pitch is lower than in any other count, unless you throw a ball right down the middle, as he does right here, is shown beautifully by our Expo camera, brought to you by Performance Honda.
Shelley Duncan just been back in the big leagues for a week. He spent most of June down at AAA Columbus. Comes back up here and hits the home run today.
Now, this is a no-doubter at all. Shelley Duncan's got some power. And he's one of those fringe players between the major leagues and the minor leagues. But, you know, you give any major league caliber hitter, and Duncan is one, a fastball or even a breaking ball like that, I think it was a cutter, somewhere around thigh high, middle of the plate, and chances are you're going to get a brand new baseball back from the umpire. And that's exactly what happened to Mike Leake.
He hit 11 with the Indians last year. He's had some big time home run years in the minor leagues. As recently as 2 years ago, he hit 30 and drove in 99 for the Scranton team. That was and still is the Yankees affiliate.
Comes from a good baseball family.
Sure does.
Of course, we'll be seeing his dad Dave when the Reds head off to St. Louis.
Albert strikes out to end the inning, but damage done on the 2-run homer by Shelley Duncan.
To sunny Kabul, Afghanistan. I want to say hi to my mom and dad who are at the game today. I want to tell you I love you both. I'll be home soon. I hope you all are doing well. And I want to give a shout out to my Cincinnati Reds. I hope you guys do well this year. I look forward to win it all. Go Reds!
All right, thank you, Major. And of course, you can text messages to the troops over there overseas throughout the telecast today. Simply text messages to the troops by punching in 37664. Messages will be displayed throughout the game on the crawl of the screen on the bottom. That's 37664. Send your text messages.
One of my favorite broadcasts, Jim Kelch, when we were able to send messages to our troops abroad, not only in Afghanistan, but everywhere, deployed all over. And we'll start running those right now. That's the way you do it. We are honored also to be on the American Forces Network today. And quite an honor to bring the game to you, guys and gals.
Ramon Hernandez leads off here in the bottom of the second. Not only to the folks who are stationed abroad who are Reds fans or Indians fans, but whoever you may be cheering for in the world of baseball, you get a chance to see what's going on back here, keep up to date, and hopefully get some text messages from your family and friends over here on this Independence Day, 4th of July weekend. Two 2-0 Tribe on the strength of the home run by Shelley Duncan. Mitch Talbot, who has not won a game since the 31st of May, has been given an early lead with which to work here on this Sunday afternoon. There's Drupal Cabrera, the all-star from the Cleveland club, throws out Hernandez, leadoff man gone. Dusty Baker asked before the game about inserting this man, Chris Heisey, into the lineup, just giving Stubbs a day off. He said, yeah, nothing special, just felt like Drew needed some time. He really had, Drew Stubbs has had a tough month so far in the month of June and in the month of July, after only a struggling 248 in the month of June. So he sits down today, and Chris Heisey gets the start in center field.
Well, you know, it's not only the physical day off that you get that is important, it's a mental day off. And I think on a day like that, more than likely Drew Stubbs didn't show up early for a change, didn't show up and then go into the batting cage and probably take 100 swings off the tee and soft toss and go through his routine. You know, sometimes you just need a day off, as we all do, just to kind of clear your head, if nothing else. That and the fact that he will, you know, benefit from not having to get out there and play on a hot day like today, a big series coming up in St. Louis.
Yeah, you can bet he'll be back in there tomorrow. Heisey, line drive. Reds are on the board.
Well, you make your manager look like a genius when you do this, Chris Heisey, and he certainly likes to do that. He did it in Tampa Bay when Ryan Hannigan came in and hit a 3-run homer off of James Shields. It changed the ball game, and Chris Heisey makes it a 1-run game on a hanging breaking ball from Mitch Talbot. Hangs right up around the letters, and that one is socked long enough to be a solo shot. 2-1 ball game.
9th home run and 150 at bats for Chris Heisey. That puts him in, if you extend that out, to a 30 home run guy a year. Big blow gets the Reds on the board, cutting the deficit in half. 9th given up by Mitch Talbot this season. This guy's given up the hits. 60 of them in 49 innings coming into this game.
Well, not only has he given up the hits, he's also given up the bases on balls. He has walked 21 batters in about 50 innings. That's way too many. So the league and their on-base percentage against Mitch Talbot is around .380. So what that tells you as a hitter is this, is that sometime throughout your at-bat, my belief is that if you're wild outside the zone and walk a lot of batters, you're also wild inside the strike zone. At every at-bat you get against Mitch Talbot, you will find a pitch that you're going to be able to hit. Don't foul it off. Don't take it.
There's one sliced into right by Renteria. The Reds have the tying run on here in the bottom of the second.
Well, that is classic Edgar Renteria. He takes 2 pitches down the middle and finally gets a really good pitcher's pitch. Low and away. He just moves down and just kind of serves that ball to right field. I guess in honor of the Wimbledon championship being crowned today. Might as well serve one right to right.
Young Novak Djokovic was the big winner today. For setter. Congratulations to him. They want Marty to hear that, though. He doesn't like that talk about tennis. It's got to be golf with him. Cairo getting the start at third base today. Scott Rowland, yesterday's game, had a couple of hits, 2 doubles. So Scott entering today's game had an opportunity for hit number 2,000. He's sitting at 1,999 in terms of hits. Phillips got number 1,000 on Friday. Who knows? Still, he may get up there, pinch hitter, and get number 2,000. Scott Rowland. Well, you look around, there are some empty seats at the ballpark right now. They could be at the concession stand, who knows, but over 40,000 in a sellout Friday, over 41,000 in a sellout yesterday. Well, the Reds have really been playing before some big crowds here at home as of late. Toronto series over 30,000 each game. Basically 3 sellouts for the Yankee series. Basically 3 sellouts in this series. Fortunate thing about that is that this team, unlike a year ago, is just not playing as well as at home as they would like, as the fans would like. They come into this game only 1 over at 22-21. As you break down their homestands, they really haven't had, since that first one, that killer homestand to really get people excited.
Well, they haven't, but those people that have followed the Reds feel that this team is on the verge any time to break out and run off 5 or 6 or 7 games in a row, or win 7 out of 8 or 8 out of 10, that type of thing. But until they do it, you're going to be waiting.
Bounces away, and down to second goes Renteria. That one will roll into the dugout. Down the dugout steps it goes. That does not mean, however, that Renteria will get to go any further. That's 1 base off the rubber. That was the pitch that got away, so that's a wild pitch. Runner in scoring position.
Well, it took a big hop. That was one of those changeups that Lou Marshall went down to try to block, and it kind of went off his shoulder and then rolled all the way past the on-deck circle and slowly right down the steps. So the Indians really caught a break right there, because had that ball not gone down the steps and out of play, very likely that Renteria would have been able to go from first to third.
But now an RBI chance for Cairo, who has 14. In limited at bats, Miguel Cairo hitting .381. Runners in scoring position this year. He's been a clutch performer. And he comes through here with a solid single into center, and that will indeed tie this game. Nicely done by Miguel Cairo.
Miguel Cairo with a 3-2 count. A little short swing right here. Look at him just like, I'll just take it right back through the box. Thank you very much. And the Red super sub responsible for tying this baby up.
Mike Leake will step up there. Gave up 2 in the top of this inning on the 2-run homer by Shelley Duncan. His mates have got him those back here in the bottom of the second. Now Leake, who swings a very good bat for a pitcher, hitting .250 with 7 hits. He likes hitting about as much as he likes pitching, Chris. Runner goes on the bunt and a foul. Castillo used both he and when Travis Wood was up here, Wood as pinch runners. Very athletic.
Yeah, you know, it's an overused term, but Mike Leake really is one of those guys that fits into that category of just being a ball player. I mean, you could envision him being an infielder somewhere. You know, probably doesn't hit for enough power to be an outfielder, but I mean, this kid just knows how to play the game of baseball, has a nose for it.
And he's not looking when he's in there just to get the AB over, is he? Some pitchers you sense that from, not him.
Well, what he tries to do is not strike out. He realizes how important it is to put the ball in play. Good evidence by that last pitch. That pitch, he still has the bunt on, and that pitcher is a little bit outside. A lot of pitchers are jabbing at that ball because they're nervous about not getting the bunt down. They find themselves trying to do it in the first 2 or 3 pitches of the at-bat instead of waiting for a strike.
Gets it down here, and they get the out at first base. Boy, there's almost that collision that we've talked about in the past on the Red side. Almost saw it right there between Santana and Talbot.
Well, Santana's playing first base, and here comes Mike Leake coming up the line right here. Talbot's going to field the ball and throw sidearm. But what happens is that he doesn't really have a good throwing lane between where he is right near the baseline and the first baseman. It's important for him to get off the bag a little bit and make sure you have a throwing lane. You want a throwing lane up here. This is so it's nice and easy to get that ball, but he's got to throw it right by the runner. And if he dropped down a little bit too low, he hits Leake in the back, and they'd be in a peck of trouble then.
Here's a big chance now for Fred Lewis. Lewis came into this game having hit 4 in a row. Hitting .429 over his last 28 at-bats. Trying to give the Reds the lead here in the bottom of the second. And he will do it with that flare into right center field. He broke his bat, but gets the hit. Scoring from second base is Cairo, and the Reds have come up with 3, and in the process have taken their first lead in this series.
Well, Reds play a little small ball in this inning. Aside, of course, from the home run by Heisey, this one is a jam shot by Freddie Lewis. And aren't you just about ready for some of these hits to start falling in for the Reds? It seems like they fall in for the other teams, and when you're not getting your hits and getting runs, they're not falling in for you. So maybe the worm has turned here at Great American this afternoon.
Well, exactly really what we were talking about on the open of this broadcast about the Reds. Right up there among the league leaders in runs scored and average and on base and home runs, and yet somehow those aren't all turning into wins. They aren't corresponding to W's.
It seems like the Reds aren't playing bad baseball. They're just well enough to lose. Make it close but lose, as is evidenced by the number of one-run games they've played and the number of losses. Well, they 12 wins and 17 losses in one-run games. That's a lot of one-run games to be played so far at this point in the season.
Last year, and I've heard you say it, I've heard Marty say it, heard others say it, last year they were winning those games.
Yeah, they were, and a lot of people will say, you know, to win a one-run game, it's luck. Some years you do it, some years you don't do it. And to a certain extent, that's right. That's why, you know, a veteran manager like Dusty Baker will always tell his ball club, the runs you score in the first couple of innings are every bit as important as the ones you score late in the ball game. That's why when you get a chance to really run the score up, you just go ahead and do it. You don't worry about anything else except continuing to put your foot on the throat of your opponent to try to make sure you get away with there with a win.
Brandon Phillips down a couple of strikes. He's talked about the last couple of days about a little bit of a new approach he's taking, right?
Well, you know, his dad's here, as we've seen for so many different years. I mean, when Ken Griffey Jr. was here, his dad would get called in when he was in a slump, and you know, Brandon Phillips is no different. His dad James is at the ballpark this series. His mom Lou, and his dad gives hitting lessons down in Atlanta. It's a very good hitting instructor, and he's been giving some tips to his son Brandon that over the last few weeks have really kind of helped him bust out of this little mini slump that he was in. He's been the Reds' best hitter really since the time that his dad gave him a good talking to.
For the Reds, this inning has featured a home run by Chris Heisey. Line drive into the seats and left, getting them on the board. Single to right by Renteria and a wild pitch by Talbot. Single by Cairo that tied the game. Sac bunt by Leake, and then a single by Fred Lewis that has given the Reds the lead, but Phillips cannot keep it going. He strikes out here, but a nice bottom of the second for the home team. They take a 3-2 lead. Final two greatest moments in MLB All-Star Game history. Now go to MLB.com/moments and vote now for your favorite midsummer classics. And tune in to the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game coming up Tuesday, July the 12th at 8 Eastern here on Fox to find out who won. Reminder to the viewers, you have that opportunity to send special messages to the troops. You can text messages to the troops at 37664. You'll see those crawling across the bottom of the screen throughout the game. And for you military folks, you have the chance to send messages back via foxsportsohio.com/pages/troops. So you can get messages, send messages back. Third inning now, top of the order. Michael Brantley led off this game with a double. Wondering who will be the most outstanding player of the Ohio Cup Series this year. Certainly Brantley's name is right in there, along with Asdrubal Cabrera of the Tribe. He's hit the ball hard twice. This time, nothing but an out to show for it. Mike Leake making start number 8 since his return from the first demotion of his career in his 2-year professional baseball career down to Louisville earlier this year. Since his return, 4-2 with a 2.49 ERA with 6 quality starts in the 7 that he has made. You can argue that he and Johnny Cueto have been by far the most consistent.
I don't think there's any question about that. Of course, since Johnny Cueto has come off that disabled list, and that's really the reason why he's lagging behind in some of the raw numbers as far as wins overall, innings pitched, and so on, because he does go deep into just about every game he pitches. But since he's come back from the DL, he has been just a horse on the mound. And Mike Leake has really picked up right where he left off at the beginning of the season last year. I really do believe that from a mental standpoint, that little trip to the minor leagues did Mike Leake wonders.
Heisey calling for this ball off the bat of Cord Phelps, and he makes the catch for the second out. Well, he didn't pitch, talking about Mike Leake, he did not pitch badly at all earlier this year when he was in the rotation really got bumped because of a numbers thing into the bullpen.
Yeah, he did, and that's where he went into the bullpen. And then he wasn't pitching much down there, so they sent him down to the minor leagues to make sure that when you've got a young man 23 years old, that he doesn't, sit in the bullpen and wait 10 days between outings. I mean, you didn't draft him number 1 to be a long man out of the bullpen.
Yeah, that was the strange part of that whole move, wasn't it? Here's your number 1 pick, and he's working long relief.
Yeah, and you knew it was only going to be temporary. I mean, not every move that you make as a major league club has to be a drastic move where you send somebody out or you trade somebody because you think you have too many players for that position. We have already seen with all the injuries that the pitching staff has had that you need a lot of pitching. I mean, very rarely do you ever see the same 5 men in a rotation start the beginning of the year and then end at the end of the year with the same names. Nicely done.
1, 2, 3, third inning turned in by Mike Leake, who he gets his 4th strikeout of the game. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, directly out of the Declaration of Independence. And we certainly thank the folks who are stationed abroad, who are watching today's game on the American Forces Network, for fighting and protecting us so we are able to do the kind of things that we are doing here. We can't thank you enough.
Well said, Jim Couch. You're echoing the sentiments of millions of Americans when you say it just like that. Way to go.
Meanwhile, on the field, Votto bounces out, and so the first out here in the bottom of inning number 3. Here's Jay Bruce, all-star for the first time. He starts this game at 267 with 18 homers and 51 runs batted in. And we mentioned that he was the player of the month in May. We've talked about it a lot. 342 with a dozen homers and 33 runs batted in. And Dusty mentioned it down in the clubhouse prior to the game. He hopes he gets around those all-stars and gets the feel of what it's like to be around some of the best players in the game and brings that back with him when the Reds return after the break and start here against St. Louis. Bruce fooled on that pitch. Will be the second out of the inning.
Well, that's that changeup that we were talking about from Mitch Talbot. He can make good hitters look bad with it. And if you commit too early before you read that as a changeup, you're going to find yourself having a weak hack like Jay Bruce just did. Just try to make contact with it. You know, there aren't all that many pitchers around, right-handers or left-handers, that have what you would say a swing and miss changeup. Unless the guy throws 100 miles an hour and then his changeup comes in 20 miles an hour slower. But Talbot has real good arm action on it. He sells it like a fastball. And you'll see guys take bad swings just to try to get a little piece of the ball.
Hernandez scorches the first pitch he sees for a hit. Number 5 for the Reds in this game.
He wasn't going to wait around. Ramon wasn't to finally get that changeup. He's jumping on that first piece of cheese that comes his way. Hammering some queso right there.
Throw that Spanish in there.
That's about all I know is how to order a little food.
Your good friend Catherine Braun, who speaks fluent Spanish, teaches Spanish to some of the Reds front office folks, is up here in the booth prior to the game. And I guess you two carried on a little Spanish conversation.
I did not know that she spoke Spanish or
really?
even teaches Spanish to the Reds folks. Interesting.
Heisey hit that home run his first time, his 9th of the year. And interesting when you break down the stats, our statistician today, Chris Kalo, showed us that he has now hit 5 home runs while playing center and only 29 at bats. While he's hit 3 as a left fielder in 81 at bats. Center field must agree with him.
I don't know. Can you draw a conclusion from that, or you write that off as simple coincidence?
Too early to tell, really. Nice piece of hitting there. He slices that ball into right field.
Well, I really like that. That's no coincidence right there that he picks up a base hit with a good approach. You know, Chris Heisey just beginning to make an adjustment. He come off the bench. You're looking for a fastball as a pinch hitter. And he's been very, very quick on a fastball inside. So what's going to happen is that the league now is going to start pitching him down and away. Going to throw sliders down there. He's going to try to make him swing at pitches that he wouldn't normally swing at. And quite frankly, for a while there, he was looking horrible on that particular pitch. But he's made the adjustment now, being able to hit the ball the other way, hit a little bit later in the pitch, out of the catcher's mitt, so to say. He plays a little bit of an edge, Chris Heisey does. I like the way he goes about his business.
First two set down in this inning. Now an opportunity to add to this 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the third.
And what I mean by Heisey and his edge, I mean he's about as nice a kid as you will ever meet in a baseball uniform. But he looks around, he says, hey, this guy was a #1 draft pick, and now he's making millions, and I was a 15th or 17th round pick, but I feel like I'm just as good as they are. And that's the edge that he has that really propels him to maybe be a better player than he can be. You just want that out of all your guys. You want every one of your guys thinking that I'm the man, but that it's a team sport.
You know, he played at Little Messiah College in Pennsylvania, and he'll tell the story that he went there for a couple of reasons. One, because it was close to home, and two, because he could play some basketball also. He wanted to play both sports. He said they had no off-season workouts in terms of their baseball program. They showed up and played. The squibber that will retire Renteria and end the Reds' third. So they threaten but fail, have left 4 in this game, but lead by 1 after 3. The world, JTM Food Group, by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers, where you can register to win the Tundra here at Great American Ballpark. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Blue Rhino. Ready to grill? Grab a Rhino. Visit BlueRhino.com for a propane tank near you. 3 complete, 3-2 in favor of the Reds. Trailed 2-0, but scored 3 in the bottom of the second to gain their first advantage of this series. Trying to keep themselves afloat, which is to say above the 500 mark. They are at 42-42 now as this Reds team. They haven't been a 500 club since they were 30-30 after losing here to the Dodgers back on the 5th of June, so almost a month ago. And this team has not sat below the 500 mark since the 3rd of May, when they were 1 game under at 14-15 following a 10-4 loss here to the Houston Astros. A long time back. 42-42 starting today. Lika 1-2-3 third. He's now set down 5 in a row since the 2-run line drive home run by Shelley Duncan. Get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with the Emmy Award-winning Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Tune in every day to see the latest version of Tech Talk with Chris Welsh as players and coaches from the Reds break down the finer points of the game. That's Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing.
Boy, this guy at the plate does not get cheated, does he? Carlos Santana, you know, he kind of lifts his front leg up there. He gets his hands back. He really winds up and just lets it rip, even with 2 strikes. I mean, he is not getting cheated one bit. And you look at that batting approach, and from a pitcher standpoint, you're thinking, all right, he's probably got pretty good plate coverage, and if he times it right, he's going to hit it 9 miles. So what I'm going to try to do is add and subtract with him. Add some fastball, subtract to the changeup. And he's had, you know, Leake's got him about where he wants him. which is ahead of the changeup and a little bit behind on the fastball. He fouls a fastball straight back, and he fouls a changeup into the dirt around home plate.
8-pitch AB thus far for Santana against Leake. Getting things started here in the 4th. Got him on number 9, and his 5th strikeout.
Well, a good call there by Ramon Hernandez. You know, he's seeing how pesky that Santana can be. He says, all right, let's go up the ladder here. Let's play a little north and south. And we'll go north first. After a changeup down and in, Leake goes with a 4-seam fastball right there. Right over the top. It doesn't sink. It stays right at eye level. It looks so good, but so often you just see that ball better than you can hit it, and it goes right by the hitter.
So it's Grady Sizemore bounced out his first time. Sizemore 2 out of 9 with a home run in this series. It was his home run that got things started on Friday night. That solo shot against Bronson Arroyo. Everybody up in arms after the game Friday. Certainly something is wrong with Bronson from a physical standpoint, but yesterday he said no, he's fine, health-wise fine. He'll get the start on Wednesday, that 3rd game of the series over in St. Louis against Jake Westbrook.
Any of the speculation that we did after the game when Arroyo pitched was certainly that. I mean, we've got no inside scoop that Bronson's got a hurt arm or a hurt back or a hurt neck, or, you know, we do know that he's had mononucleosis.
Right.
You got to figure, you know, now that you're in the middle of the season, it's hot, you're already a little bit maybe weakened anyway by that particular problem, then maybe he's a little bit weaker. But he's given up 7 home runs in 2 games, so you almost wish that there was something wrong and that this isn't the normal Bronson Arroyo. But we've seen him go through some times like this before, and he bounces right back and pitches good. It really, for Arroyo, it's all a matter of being able to finish his breaking ball. He's got to be able to finish that breaking pitch and not just roll it up there. And that was his problem the other night.
And you've mentioned it more than once, Chris, that he has been traditionally in his career a second-half guy.
He has.
17-game winner a year ago. New career best for him.
Well, I think he likes it a little bit better when the weather heats up, because most curveball pitchers do it, because usually hot weather, especially in the Midwest, means high humidity, and that makes it a lot easier to throw a curveball, because that thick air has a little more resistance against the seams, and your curveballs and your sliders seem to snap a little bit better. Of course, this is Bronson Arroyo giveaway doll today, right here at the ballpark.
Yeah,
is it not? Yeah.
The plush doll.
The plush doll. It's long and lean. Maybe we can get a picture of one here that somebody has. There's one propped up.
Watching the game.
I was asking him about it actually before the game. Man, he has got that slider working down and into left-handers. And I mean, that's about the best spot you can put it. Pitching coaches will tell you, all right, if you're right-handed, you got that slider, drop it on the hitter's back foot. And that's about where Mike Leake wanted that ball, and look where it ended up on our Fox tracks. 6 punch-outs now for Mike Leake. But what Arroyo really liked about that plush doll was the fact that the face was so well done. It looks just like him. He says it looks just like me. He goes, the rest of it, I don't know.
There you go, Chris.
But
there's one. There's a plush doll.
Long and lean. I guess if they actually gave this plush doll away with his leg lifted up in the air like he does straight out,
right?
It'd be hard. It would be something hard to box up. You know what I mean? So here you got the Arroyo doll. And he and Brian Price are wearing each other's ears out down there in the dugout.
That fly ball ends the inning, and let's take a look at that Bronson Arroyo doll.
He can dance.
He's got the long locks back here.
And he can smile. Hi, folks. Say hi, Bronson. Hi.
During today's game out in the outfield, Albert Records of Florence, Kentucky, who currently owns a 2011 Camry, will win this beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Albert Records. We'll move right from that to our AT&T trivia question of the day. When was the last time the Reds had 3 position players on the All-Star team? Not just players, 3 position players on the All-Star team. Chris was wondering about that just earlier.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Game. Mitch Talbot will work to Cairo, Leake, and Lewis, or 8, 9, and 1 in Dusty's lineup here in the home 4th. But Mike Leake has really settled in. He's now set down 8 in a row since he gave up the 2-run homer to Shelley Duncan in the 2nd inning. There he is again with another base hit for Miguel Cairo. He's 2 for 2 in this game. That's 7 of them now for the Reds.
Almost looks like a photocopy of the one he had his last time up. The last one drove in a run. This one gets him on first base. A nice little swing. Miguel Cairo. Boy, is he dependable or what?
He has just really done a great job, whether he's coming off the bench, whether he's starting at 3rd. Earlier this year, he started at 2nd for a few games when Phillips was out. Started at first base when Votto either sits down or is out. Done a great job for this club.
And I'm still stunned that he is now on a 2-year contract. It is the first multi-year contract that he has ever had in his major league career, which now spans about 15 seasons.
Amazing, isn't it?
I mean, with the way some of these ball clubs are handing out long-term contracts with some heavy coin.
He has truly gotten better with age, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. I kid him, of course. I tell him, hey, you know, Miguel, you're my hero. He said, why is that? I said, you're the only guy in the league older than me. And we've kidded about that for a long time. He's played on some very good ball clubs, and that's one reason why he is here. Walt Jocketty wanted to make sure that, you know, when you bring in guys from outside the organization, you know, obviously athletic talent, baseball talent is a big thing, but you want to bring in guys that have won somewhere and then know what it's like to prepare to win. And that's what Miguel Cairo has. That's what guys like Scott Rowland bring with you. And it's just no reason. I mean, there's no, it's just not circumstance or happenstance. It just happens to bring in guys like Rowland and Cairo and so on. There's a reason you do that.
Orlando Cabrera last year.
And Cabrera, of course, this year with the Tribe.
Right. While we have a minute, Chris, we want to pass along a special happy birthday wish today to our audio technician who's up here in the booth, down in the field, always working hard out here at the ballpark. Dick Moss celebrating birthday number 72. Happy birthday.
All right, Dickie. Well, you talk about dependable.
That's going to get the runner over to 3rd. Leake showed bunt, pulled back, took a good hack at it. Gets himself his 8th hit of the year.
We don't need no stinking bunt. How about we go into the gap right here in right center field? Little Butcher Boy play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I love this play because if you foul it off, you get another shot. And Talbot really came right in and did him a favor by throwing the ball right down Broadway there. And Leake picks up a base hit. The Reds go 1st and 3rd. Nobody out. The lineup now turns over to the top. Now you're cooking.
The Reds use that play a lot with some of their pitchers.
I think it's a great play. I think that if you put a bunt on with 2 strikes, you know, you really increase the chance of something bad happening.
Fred Lewis bounces it up the middle. His hot ways continue. His 2nd RBI single of this game. And that Butcher Boy play, as Chris calls it, got the runner to 3rd. Now this hit by Lewis gets him home.
Well, Freddie Lewis back through the box. The Reds have picked up their share of base hits. And you see Talbot's reaction right there. If he fields that ball, it's a double play ball. But by going up the middle, the Reds have their 3rd consecutive hit. Drive in a run does Freddie Lewis. And that's, you know, that's maybe falls into category of luck. You know, some days you reach up and you make that stab and the ball's in your glove. Other days you reach up and you see it bouncing into center field. The Reds need a little bit of luck going their way from an offensive standpoint.
They'd scored only 3 runs in the first 2 games of this series. Now they've picked up 4 through 3 innings plus 3 batters of this game. Here's Brandon Phillips. Reached on an error in the first, struck out in the second.
We talked about Brandon and with the adjustments that he has made, it's hard to see, but this is from earlier this year. This is the old one over here on this side. But if you look at Brandon Phillips, he's much lower with his legs on this one. This is his now. So I think that's what that says, now. And so Brandon Phillips is squatted down a little bit more. He's lower, and he is hitting line drives.
4th straight hit by the Reds. This is a single in the left field by Brandon. Hit number 1001 in his career. There's Dad. He appreciates the fact that he's able to help out.
Yeah, James Phillips. Well, when you're Brandon Phillips' personal hitting coach and you see your son make the All-Star team, got to be a big day for him and a big day for Brandon right there. He has been a very good series offensively. Picks up his first hit of the afternoon, and the Reds have him everywhere.
Here's Joey Votto. Bases loaded, nobody out. Already in front by a pair at 4-2. Votto in this game has struck out and grounded out. 2 for 11 in the series. One of those 2, the home run yesterday in the 8th. Looks like now there is movement down in the Indians bullpen. High and majestic into right center field. A little bit shy of the big fly, but everybody's going to move up for the Reds. Leake will score. Lewis to third. Phillips to second. Sac fly, Votto. 2-run inning. 5-2 Cincinnati.
Well, you talk about making the most out of a fly ball right there. Obviously, when you have a runner at third base, you hit a ball to the warning track, you're going to score him. But everybody moved up, including Brandon Phillips from first base. So Joey Votto picks up another run batted in.
Joey's 52nd. He's now nudged ahead of this guy coming to the plate, Jay Bruce, for the team lead in that department. Jay will be walked, so Ramon Hernandez will have the opportunity with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting products for your menu, inspired solutions, and better results. JTM.
Now the Reds fell behind 2-0 in the second. Scored 3 times in the bottom half of that inning. 2 thus far here. Lead 5-2. Mentioned earlier they take off after this game and head to St. Louis, so they will play a 3-game set beginning tomorrow, the 4th of July, at Busch Stadium. Johnny Cueto against Chris Carpenter. And Tuesday night, Edinson Volquez against Jaime Garcia. Wednesday night, Bronson Arroyo against Jake Westbrook. The Cardinal team, along with Milwaukee, start the day tied for first place atop the NL Central. Pittsburgh 2.5 back. Reds 3 games off the pace going into today. Cardinals are at 8-game winner Kyle Loesch against Jeremy Hellickson, whom we saw pitch down there last week. Milwaukee's at Minnesota. That game ongoing. Lewis is going to tag. There's the catch. Here comes the throw. Offline. Good hustle by Lewis. Oh, over to third, and Phillips is called out. Well, he appeared to be easily in there. He and Mark Berry will argue that call with what is the second base umpire, John Tumpane, and here comes Dusty out to argue as well. Give a sacrifice fly to Hernandez. Make it a 3-run inning. That will retire the side. Boy, that was close over there at third. The fourth inning. Should they still be batting? That's the question. Here is the play.
All right, goes from the catcher to the shortstop covering third base right there. And the question, we can't tell from there, was Brandon Phillips out? I mean, he immediately jumped up to argue. There's Cabrera covering the bag. And does Brandon Phillips get his left hand in there? Now, Mark Berry really went wild right here. You never see Berry show that kind of emotion on the field. In fact, he eventually had to go between himself and Brandon Phillips to make sure Brandon didn't irritate the umpire too much.
In fact, the umpire who made the call, he and Brandon are talking now out there beyond second base. Second base umpire had rotated around, and he had been over at third. It was the second base umpire who made the call. Brandon's still out there chatting with John Tumpane, who made that call.
Well, the good thing you have to say about what Tumpane did was he was in the right spot. He didn't make it from across the infield. He wasn't on the run when he was trying to make the call. He was stationary, his head was still, and he was in a good position. Now, you can get a call wrong because that was very, very close, but all you can ask the umpire is to be in a good spot and make the best call you can.
Well, if you're scoring along, that was 7-2-6. with the put out at third base on Phillips that ended what turned out to be a 3-run fourth inning.
Well, you're looking for a little bust out in offense. The Reds have given it to you. 10 hits, 6 runs overall, and finally they seem to be on the upside of the Indians. You know, coming into this ball game, though, the Reds had a few things working for them. One is that they have been 5-1, 5 wins against 1 loss in the last 6 games of Game 3 of a series. So they've been pretty good on the getaway day game, if you look at it like that.
Only one of those that's a loss was that game in Baltimore.
Yeah. And they've been very good after they've lost a ball game. You know, it's win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. They're 4-1 after their last 5 losses.
Heisey will get to the spot, make that now 9 in a row. Shelley Duncan is retired. Duncan is the last one to reach base. Reds fans need a sleeve of golf balls. Win a Sporting Goods gift card right now by logging on to foxsportsohio.com and entering the 100 Days of Summer Sweepstakes. We're giving prizes away every day for 100 days, plus a chance to win an HD TV. The 100 Days of Summer Sweepstakes is presented by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. Elite gave up a hit to start the game, then a hit and a home run in the second, but since then he has really settled into this thing. Lou Marson grounded out his first time, 1 for 9 in the series. He is disposed of on 3 pitches and strikeout number 7 from Mike Leake. Let's take a look back at our AT&T trivia question. Last time the Reds had 3 position players on the All-Star team. Does it surprise you that it's a Big Red Machine year? Morgan, Griffey, Concepcion, George Foster. Not 3 but 4. The second of the back-to-back championships of the Big Red Machine, 1976. Doesn't surprise you, does it?
Not one bit.
Hanahan batting for Talbot is thrown out. And so the inning is over. Make that 11 in a row by Mike Leake. iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text @BAT to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. We were talking earlier about the National League Central Division standings. Here they are, brought to you by Honda. Milwaukee and the Cardinals dead even. That's the trip that the Reds have upcoming. 3 at St. Louis, 4 at Milwaukee. But now the Reds have to catch and surpass that Pirate team. They're playing at Washington this afternoon. 10-game winner Kevin Correa, an all-star, pitching for the Bucks today. Cardinals at Tampa, Milwaukee at Minnesota. Pittsburgh leading 8-2 in their game early on at Washington. Meanwhile here, new pitcher into the game. Josh Judy comes on.
Has not been around very long, at least this year for Josh Judy. Just a second ball game he has pitched. And boy, what a job the Indians bullpen did yesterday. They ran 6 different pitchers out there. Did Manny Acta to keep the Reds at bay. And Mitch Talbot ran into a tough string of luck this afternoon with the 10 hits and 6 runs he's given up. We'll see if the Reds can't solve Judy.
I mentioned earlier 3.02, the second best ERA out of a bullpen in the American League is what the Indians brought into this game. Judy did not appear yesterday. First time we've seen him in this series. He gets Heisey to get this frame started. Chris, after homering and singling, called out on strikes to start the bottom of the 5th.
Well, he changed speeds pretty well in that at bat that Josh Judy had him looking for a off-speed pitch, throws him a kind of a low 3/4 fastball, and picks up his first strikeout with the first batter that he faces.
Here's Renteria, 1 out of 2. Reds up by 4 as they bat here in the 5th. Reds have that 7-game road trip coming up we mentioned, then the All-Star break, and they'll have 4 days this year, Monday the 11th through Thursday the 14th, but then just a boatload of home games coming up. Make some plans to come on out to Great American Ballpark right after the break. St. Louis will be in for 3, the 15th through the 17th. The Reds then go to Pittsburgh for 3 and then are back home for a 10-game homestand beginning on Friday night, the 22nd of July. It features Atlanta, the Mets, and the Giants. Did he get enough? Went off the top of the wall, comes back onto the field, but that is indeed a home run. Number 1 for Edgar Renteria. World Series MVP a year ago on the strength of the home run against Cliff Lee. Gets his first Reds home run here, making it 7-2.
Well, he hits a ball. Look where it comes off his bat, the trajectory of it. Looks like it's a foul ball or a ball that's going to be a pop-up. But, boy, does this ballpark just give them away here in the summertime. And this is the kind of home run that makes Great American Ballpark a hitter's paradise. In many parks around the league, that ball doesn't even get to the warning track, but here it finds the first row and a home run for Edgar Renteria, so he raced to 0 in the home run column for Reds shortstops. The Reds have got one now.
And amongst goals reached, number 900 in his career in runs batted in for Edgar Renteria. So we got to the 1,000 hit plateau on Friday night for Phillips. 900 in the RBI column for Renteria today. Maybe later today or maybe tomorrow. 2,000 in hits for Scott Rowland. Career marks just keep on coming. Mitch Talbot, the Indian starter, gave up 6 runs, 10 hits in 4 innings, with an intentional walk and 3 strikeouts. He's given way here to Josh Judy in the bottom of the 5th. The Reds have quickly touched him up. Cairo been on for the 3rd time.
Well, you see this effect a lot with pitchers that haven't been around very long. Josh Judy just making his 2nd appearance in the major leagues, and he gives up a ball that he thinks is going to be an easy fly ball to right field. It goes for a home run. That makes you pitch a little bit tentative. You start really picking around the corners at that point.
Has gone up there each time this game with the intention of laying down a bunt. Did it his 1st time. Eventually had a hit to right his 2nd time. Here he is trying to bunt again this time. 4 sack bunts on the season for Lee. Get the out at second base, and Cairo objects. Who is the umpire in question? John Tumpane again. That was not the best of bunts by Lee.
No, it wasn't. It really gave Lou Marson, the catcher, easy chance to come out, take 1 step. In fact, he grabbed the ball with a foot on home plate. That's how close he was. And Cabrera playing it more like a first baseman right there, knowing you're not going to get 2.
So here's Fred Lewis. He's had a nice day thus far. 2 for 3 with a couple of runs batted in for Fred. Continues to hit the ball very well. Now it's 4 hits and 8 at bats in this series. He ended strong in the month of June. Ended the month at 286, but was really hitting the ball well in those last 2 weeks of the month and getting on base. Appeared yesterday as a pinch hitter in the 7th and had a single, meaning he's 4 for his last 5 as a pinch hitter in the lineup today. Those ammonia rags going, Chris, down in the dugout. Miguel Cairo taking one down there. Trying to cool off.
yeah, they take a big bucket of ice water and they put a few drops of ammonia in there, and not the stuff you clean your floors with.
No.
Gives you a feeling of temporary refresh, chill anyway, or refreshment. Yeah, doesn't last long on a day like today.
Chisenhall makes the play that ends the inning. The Reds add 1 more and now own a 5-run lead through 5. Take on those dreaded St. Louis Cardinals. Be one of the first 30,000 fans through the gates and take home an Aroldis Chapman action figure thanks to Chiquita. For tickets to see the Reds and the Cardinals, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Mike Leake threw 5 innings of work. 71 pitches so far in this game. Has retired at 11 in a row since he gave up the home run ball to Shelley Duncan in the 2nd that temporarily gave the Indians the lead. This big crowd on this Sunday, July the 3rd afternoon. This will easily put the Reds in excess of 115 to 120,000 on this series against the Tribe. enjoying what they're seeing on the field today. And again, we mentioned it'll be the last time you'll get to see this team at home until the 15th. So 12 days from now, they'll be back against the Cardinals on July the 15th in that series. What will the standings look like then? This game and then 7 more on this road trip coming up to find out. Mike back to work here in the 6th inning with Michael Brantley to lead it off. You are working, Chris Welsh, diligently.
Now we got it working now.
You are working diligently on that Bronson Arroyo plush doll.
We've redesigned the doll to a new prototype.
All that within a span of a couple of innings. How do you do it? Brantley in this game is 1 out of 2. You're wondering, where were the Reds a year ago at the All-Star break? They were 49 and 41. 7 games, or they're 8 games above 500 and in front by a game. Remember, they had lost all 4 at Philadelphia, where they were blanked in back-to-back games, 1-0 the last 2. That Saturday night game, of course, is when Travis Wood had that perfect game going into the 9th. Here, a walk to start the inning. Let's go down in and check with Jim Day.
Hey guys, thank you very much. I'd like to invite you to hang around for the post-game show, of course, brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. The 3 Reds All-Stars, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce. You will hear from the All-Stars coming up on the post-game show. Jay Bruce, very excited to make his first appearance. Can't wait to hear from him. We'll put a capper on this one. As always, you'll hear from the manager before anyone else. It's Reds Live, presented by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit King'sHondaUSA.com. Guys, as the messages continue to scroll on the bottom of the screen, sending out messages to our troops, I'd like to second that. Thank everyone that has served and serving now around the world and watching today on the American Forces Network. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. We often overuse the term heroes in sports broadcasting, and then you meet one of these veterans or someone serving now, and it reminds you of the true meaning of the word hero. Those are our heroes.
Thank you, Jim Day. And again, a reminder that you can text messages to the troops. You see them scrolling across the bottom of the screen, as Jim alluded to, at 37664. Military also have the chance to send messages back via foxsportsohio.com/pages/troops. You can send messages to them. They can send messages back to you.
Well, that's the Bronson Arroyo giveaway doll, the plush doll, but I've adjusted it just a little bit, you know, because this is his signature move right here, you know, with the straight leg out, ready to pitch. We've got him hanging out like Bronson likes to do.
Excellent work, sir.
Nothing wrong with playing with a doll when you're 56, is there?
You're not going to get an objection from me.
Yeah, I'll bring one on the road for us then. What do you say?
Let me know when and where.
You got a good sense of humor, Jim Kelch. I hope you're kidding with me.
Oh, was that a joke?
Nice to be winning for a change, isn't it?
Yeah, that frown turns into a smile. Everybody happy here at the ballpark today. So far, so good. You got Mike Leake on the mound today. You have Johnny Cueto on the mound tomorrow in a big series over at St. Louis. A lot to get excited about. Now Mike Leake, as he throws his 82nd pitch, walks Phelps. That's back-to-back walks, and that immediately gets Brian Price out of the dugout.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes when it happens in the middle of a ball game, it's nothing mechanical going on. Certainly after 80 pitches, he's not tired, but you may take a little mental hiccup. And all of a sudden, you've got to get yourself refocused out there, because a long one here makes it a 7-5 ball game. And the way the ball is flying here today, it doesn't take much to get one out of here. You've got the middle of the Indians lineup coming up in Cabrera and then Santana, both tough left-handed hitters. Switch hitters that are hitting left-handed today, obviously, but they're tough outs.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Indians bullpen, but when you look at what the Reds pen has done in this series, they have not allowed a run at all in 5 1/3 innings of their own. Nobody throwing down there, although people starting to move around somewhat. As Drupal Cabrera has fanned twice. Reds look for the double play ball.
Well, he has taken care of Cabrera with that pitch. It seems like every time Cabrera must have a blind spot or something on that low inside slider from a right-hander, because he's not come close yet. None of the ones he's swinging at are really strikes if he just let one go by. There it is again. Might as well stay with it until he makes the adjustment.
Gets it for the 3rd time today. Leake is able to take care of the All-Star as Drupal Cabrera on strikes.
I'm not sure what it is that Brian Price told Mike Leake and Ramon Hernandez out there, but if he's putting it into play, that's the reason why Brian Price is the pitching coach. That ball really drops off the table. Cabrera has yet to figure out that pitch. A little bit of a slider, nice depth on it going down at the plate. Now your ground ball getting out of the inning with nothing.
Mike Leake has now equaled his career high in strikeouts with 8. He fanned 8 Giants back on the 11th of June, and he has fanned 8 Indians here today. If they can get Carlos Santana, who's hit into an Indians high 8 ground ball double plays this year, get through this inning. He, like Cabrera, has struck out twice in the game. Now 3 for 11 in the series. 12 home runs on the year for Santana, 11 of them from this side of the dish. Votto will pick it, and his only plays first base. Runners move up, 2 out for Grady Sizemore.
You know, in a tight ball game, or maybe that runner going to second base, maybe the tying run or go-ahead run, you may see Votto take that ball and fire at the second to try to get one of the lead runners. But when you're up by 5 and you're in the 6th inning, you're beginning to look for outs. And you want to make sure that you get at least one right there. Now you've got Grady Sizemore coming up. Mike Leake struck him out his last time. He's 0 for 2. Give Leake a chance to get out of the inning unscathed. The Indians have not had all that many opportunities. They've only got 3 hits on the day, and Leake has only a couple of walks. They've left 1 runner on base coming into this inning.
All of those hits came in the first 2 innings of this game. We're in the 6th now. There's There's the first hit since the second. That will produce a pair of Indians runs, and they are right back in this at 7-4.
Well, they were really bemoaning the fact that now with Grady Sizemore back, but not quite healthy. It's not the same Grady Sizemore that Indians fans have been used to seeing over the years. But it looks like in this series he's beginning to get his stroke back a little bit, taking this pitch. Good moving fastball, but he reads it right away and takes it to left field. The only place you're going to hit that pitch and get a knock out of it. And he drives a couple in, and it's a 3-run ball game.
Grady Sizemore, not an all-star this year, 3-time all-star in his career, comes up with a big hit there to make it a 7-4 game. Chisenhall, 5 games in the big leagues, a hit in each one of those, is up there now. Single in the second inning put him on ahead of Shelley Duncan's 2-run homer. This ends the inning. Indians get a pair. Middle of the 6th inning, Reds by 3. Freeze cam. How about this play at third base in the 4th? Was he out? Was he safe? Brandon thought he was safe. Mark Berry, third base coach, thought he was safe. John Tumpain, the umpire, said out. That was on the sac fly to left by Ramon Hernandez. Turns out to be an inning-ending double play, but the run, of course, did count. That's our Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. The Reds give up 2 in the top of this inning. Still lead by 3. And have the aforementioned Brandon Phillips leading off here in the bottom of the 6th. Phillips, Votto, Bruce against Josh Judy. A lot of home run ball to Edgar Renteria in the 5th inning. Brandon has a hit today, 1 for 3, been on twice. He reached on the Chisenhall error in the 1st inning. Wanted to mention earlier also, the Reds committed that error yesterday on that controversial play out at second base as to whether or not Giannis had his foot on the bag. That snapped a streak of 7 straight games the Reds had played without an error. A season best this year. They're right there again now, Chris, amongst the top defensive teams in baseball.
Well, errors and the number of errors a team has is really only one way to determine how good your team is defensively, because it really doesn't take into account the great plays that certain players make and balls that are run down by your outfield because they're fast and athletic that other teams don't get to. That has been one of the trademarks of this ball club. I mean, really ever since the days that Walt Jocketty has taken his team over and said, all right, you know, the way you win championships obviously is pitching. You have to have some dominant pitchers at the top of your rotation. You have to have it locked down at the end of the game where you bring your relievers in, and you play good defense, because those 2 items are so intertwined you can't really have one without the other.
One of the key factors of last year's winning.
It really was. And it's even maybe more important now than ever before. Of course, you know, we've talked about from time to time, Jim, the amount of scoring that is down way and over all of baseball. I mean, we're talking about scoring levels now that go all the way back to 1992 as far as runs per game and hits. And so you're seeing a lot more lower scoring games overall, which means you're going to have more tighter ball games, and those are oftentimes determined by a good defensive play. I don't know how Brandon got out of the way of that ball.
He dropped the bat and jumped back in a hurry. You know, you watch those plays real time and you think, well, he got out of the way in time. But when you watch them in slow-mo, you realize that the ball a lot of times has already passed them by the time they react.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about less than 1 second.
Yeah.
Like a fifth of a second is what a batter usually has to make his mind up as to whether he's going to swing or not. it's interesting, Jim, you bring up the fact that the Reds have been so good defensively. I think a lot of teams are better defensively now than they were, say, 5 or 6 years ago, just given on the style of player that it's opted for nowadays. More general managers, it seems, are looking for that well-rounded player, the more of the athletic player, as opposed to the guy that can go out and crunch 40 home runs, but he may be a liability in the field. I mean, a great, for instance, is Sam Fuld down in Tampa Bay. Here's a guy that his batting average wasn't much. He certainly is not going to hit for power, but he's an everyday left fielder for the Rays because he is a highlight reel in left field. Right. I mean, he saved so many runs out there playing his defense that, you know, that gives him the right, at least in the eyes of Joe Madden, to be a starter.
Well, he made a terrific play against the Reds down there, didn't he?
He did.
Sizemore runs that down.
Yeah, and usually when an outfielder makes a great play, he's saving an extra base hit.
Little batter is Joey Votto.
Hey, Reds fans, check out the Johnny Bench, baseball's greatest catcher exhibit, presented by Dinsmore and Scholl at the Reds Hall of Fame. This tribute offers never-before-seen artifacts from Bench's personal collection, as well as video and audio highlights. For more information, visit redsmuseum.org. That may be one of my all-star break pursuits right there. Go to the Hall of Fame and check out the Johnny Bench exhibit. Nick Massett now up and throwing in the Reds bullpen. Hot day like today, Chris, I would think that getting Mike Leake through 6 innings is a pretty good accomplishment.
Absolutely right. Yeah, there's no question about that. He pitched pretty well, too.
He will not get a quality start. He's given up 4, but really, we talk about quality start being keeping your team in the game. He's certainly done that.
Well, you know, he's a guy that almost reels off quality starts like they're rolling out of bed. But one thing that he has working for him this year is that the Reds have scored a lot of runs in his behalf. And here they are. They put up 7 runs today. That is just below his normal run support average. He gets a little over 7 runs a game average-wise. You take all the runs the Reds score in games that Mike Leake pitches, and that's how you get to that average. So he, again, pitches on the right day.
That big shift. Phelps throws out Joey Votto, who's 0 for 3 in this game.
I don't know about you, Jim, but did you get any texts after our trivia question? We asked the trivia question, which was, when was the last time the Reds had 3 regular players, position players, make it to the All-Star game?
I got a few.
And our crack staff, unfortunately, were thinking big. And they were thinking way back to the Big Red Machine. And sometimes you miss the forest for the trees.
And the fact that those trees show us that last year the Reds had Votto, and Phillips, and Scott Rowland, 3 position players on the All-Star team. So the answer, when was the last time the Reds had 3 position players? 2010, last year.
See, I usually like to say, instead of us getting the answer wrong, we actually asked the wrong question. When was the last time the Reds had more than 3 is what we meant to say. So if you're wondering about that answer,
then that would have been the correct answer.
Absolutely right. So we thank all of you who listen to our broadcast so closely that we want to correct our mistakes. Thank you.
Jay in this game 0 for 2 and 1 out of 9 in the series. Gives it a deep ride to right, but playable as Shelley Duncan on the warning track hauls it in, marking the first time in this game the Reds have gone in order. Today's game on Fox Sports Ohio is brought to you by AT&T, by Cincinnati Children's, which ranks 3rd in the nation on U.S. News and World Report's honor roll for Best Children's Hospitals 2011, and by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. Reds enjoying the lead in this game of 7-4. Mike Leake out of the game. Can win, cannot lose. Another fine effort by Mike. 6 innings, 4 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. And he retired at one point 11 in a row following the Duncan home run in the 2nd until he walked Brantley in the 6th. Hot, humid day like today. Fine effort by Mike.
No doubt about it. You know, and the Reds needed him to step up. You lose 2 games in a row. You're going on a tough road trip. You certainly don't want to leave here with no momentum at all. So if the Reds can hold on, it'll be up to Nick Massa to do so. Mike Leake will pick up a W, and that'll be his 8th of the year.
It'll equal his win total of a year ago.
41 games now for Nick Massa. Lots of strikeouts. Low batting average against. Solid, dependable reliever.
Massa worked a perfect inning here on Friday night, retiring Brantley and then the Cabreras. Orlando and Asdrubal faces Shelley Duncan here, then Lou Marson, then the pitcher spot. When he connects, ball jumps off his bat, doesn't it? Second hit for Shelley Duncan in this game. Kick off your weekend here at Great American Ballpark on Friday, July the 15th, when the Reds take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Stick around for a post-game super duper fireworks show featuring a soundtrack inspired by your favorite superheroes, courtesy of Furniture Fair. For tickets to this superheroes weekend, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com today. Super duper fireworks show.
You wearing your Superman outfit that weekend?
I'll be wearing my superhero outfit. I don't know that I have to reveal yet what it will be. Could be Aquaman. You never know. And you? You and Tom going as a pair that weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Batman and Robin?
We're going to be quite a pair.
They get the out at first base. Duncan advances to second. And now the Indians will employ a pinch hitter, Travis Hafner, who has not seen action in this series at all. He's their DH. So this series has meant a lot of pine time for him. He'll be back in it tomorrow night at home against the Yankees.
It's actually very impressive what the Indians have done here the first couple of games in this series without their best hitter. I mean, we say Asdrubal Cabrera is their best player, without doubt. Shortstop that plays what he does. But Hafner has been a very important part of their offense. And you sit him because he doesn't play in the field. He hasn't played in the field since 2007. And they've been missing their all-star closer, Chris Perez.
Hafner comes off the bench to bat for Josh Judy on the year. He's hitting .336. 7 homers, 29 runs batted in, 1 for 5 as a pinch hitter. And he has an RBI chance.
We just think about all the left-handers that Manny Acta can run out there on you as a right-handed pitching staff. And then you add this guy in the DH role. I mean, you better have a pitch that can get lefties out if you're a right-handed starter.
Well, you need a special kind of guy to DH. I mean, look at what the Reds did in a limited time, admittedly, in the DH this year when they were able to use it under 200 as a batting average.
Yeah.
And that's from a guy, other than one game, who had done it in the past in Johnny Gomes.
Your teams are designed differently. I mean, it's just no shot on Gomes, and it's no. But you sign a guy to be a DH because he can hit. Mostly, he's a one-dimensional player, and he can still hit, and that's why he's on a ball club.
And that's what Hafner does right here, shooting it into left field. That's going to plate Shelley Duncan, and now it's a 2-run game. It was 7-2 Reds. Now it's 7-5 as the Indians pick up a run against Massett.
Boy, not the kind of swing you'd expect out of Travis Hafner, but that's a good one. I mean, he goes right down there and hits the ball the other way. That gives you pretty good insight as to why he's hitting over 330. Oh, look now, the Indians have pecked away. A couple in the second, a couple in the sixth, one here. And they scored 5 runs on 6 hits.
Aroldis Chapman now has gotten up, starting to throw in the Cincinnati bullpen. Michael Brantley, very capable of the long ball, represents the tying run in this game. Brantley's been on twice. He walked in front of Phelps' walk in the 6th inning, and then both came home on the Grady Sizemore base hit. The only 2 walks Leake gave up in this game came back eventually to haunt him. Double play ball. There's one. They'll get them both. 4-6-3. Phillips, Renteria, and Votto. And the Indians settle for 1 here in the top of the 7th inning. We will stay here at the ballpark here on this Sunday, July the 3rd. As here at the park, everyone on their feet. Virtual sellout crowd at Great American Ballpark for God Bless America.
And at this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all of our veterans of service, and welcome Chris Hedges as he leads us in the playing of God Bless America. And now it's time for the 7th inning stretch presented by...
All the way from Kabul, Afghanistan. I want to give a shout out to all my friends and family back in Portsmouth, Ohio. Go Reds.
Hey Reds fans, this is Lieutenant Jeff Dundon, deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan. Grew up in Centerville, Ohio. Go Reds.
Gotta love it. Reds fans all over the world, Chris.
Keep safe. Come home safe. All of you. Boy, I'll tell you what, every time we do a game like this around Independence Day, Jim, it gets you thinking about the sacrifices that are made.
No question.
And the American lifestyle that we live here, that we get to come out and, 40,000 people today, like yesterday and the night before, watching a great American game of baseball. And it's because we've got servicemen around the world protecting our freedom.
You sometimes take it for granted, and on a day like today, you realize why you're able to do those things.
We shouldn't celebrate it only on Independence Day, but it should be at the front page of the paper every day that we have men and women across the world protecting us.
Meanwhile, here for the Indians, they have a new pitcher into the game. Josh Judy out after 2 innings, and Chad Durbin takes over.
We've seen him a lot. He was in yesterday's ball game. He also appeared in a game on Friday, I believe. Chad Durbin did, former Philadelphia Philly.
He gave up the Phillips home run in the 9th inning on Friday, the 1,000th career hit for Brandon Phillips. And then in yesterday's game, he had a big part of that 8th inning when the Reds had 1st and 2nd and 1 out. He was able to get the shallow fly ball to center off the bat of Hannigan, and then was able to strike out Heisey as the go-ahead run. The Reds had to settle for that 1 run in the bottom of the 8th, so he was in a big part of yesterday's game.
Well, this ball game now to just a 2-run margin, a little too tight for Dusty Baker. I would imagine he's spurring his troops on to try to get something going here to see if they can't put a crooked number on the board and a little more distance from them and the Indians. Not a good way to start there.
Now that little squibber takes care of Hernandez. Bring Heisey up there.
Well, Heisey's already made Dusty Baker look pretty smart by resting Drew Stubbs this afternoon, putting Heisey in center field, where he hit a home run and picked up a base hit in his first couple of at-bats.
Reds did have Chapman throwing in the bullpen. Nick Massick goes 1 inning, gives up a run. Heisey hits the first pitch in the air to Santana.
Heisey and the second baseman Cord Phelps collided. I guess Cord Phelps was watching the ball come down. He was watching Santana, and I'm not sure what Heisey was watching. Here we go. Heisey just kind of. Wow. Now, when they leave the ballpark, they ought to give each other a 15-minute head start when they get in their cars. Make sure that doesn't happen again.
Durbin throws a couple of pitches and already finds himself 2/3 of the way through this inning.
And that's why Edgar Renteria will not allow it to be a 3-pitch inning, and he'll take a pitch. Used to have a pitching coach down in A-ball. Former Cincinnati Reds Sammy Ellis, 20-game winner for the Reds way back in the 60s, would promise us a case of beer if we had ever had a 3-pitch inning.
Wow. I remember Sammy.
Yeah.
He was a long time, talking about Sammy Ellis, a long time minor league pitching coordinator in the Reds system.
Had a good one. I had him as a pitching coach when I was in the New York Yankee organization. The Reds grabbed him after that and put him in a position of importance. They're running the minor league pitching for a long time here. Affectionately known as Brillo.
Durbin has himself an easy bottom of the 7th inning. So we will head to the 8th. The Reds still owning a 2-run lead. Coors cold hard blast of the game. Came off the bat of Edgar Renteria. That ball floated out to right and just did get over the wall for a home run. Hit the top of the wall, came back. First home run of the year for Renteria. 900th career RBI for Renteria, and the first home run by Red shortstop this year is our Coors cold hard blast. Double switch employed by the Reds. Renteria out. Giannis now playing short. Chapman is into the game, and Chapman is in the 7th spot in the batting order, and Giannis is in the 9th spot. Dusty talked, Chris, about getting Chapman into more pressurized situations. This is a good one right here.
Well, it is. I mean, without being too much of a pressure situation, you've got a 2-run ball game, so it's certainly not a laugher. But you do have a clean inning. I think that's the biggest thing that they like to see Aroldis have, is that nobody on the bases when he begins the inning. So the double switch may also indicate that they want Aroldis Chapman to go more than 1 inning out there. That would be the only reason I would think of as to why Dusty Baker would do a double switch right here, unless He just wanted to get Paul Janisch in there for some defense.
Right. They have 3 switch hitters and then 2 lefties due up in this frame. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Enter to win a Cincinnati USA getaway package. Visit www.cincinnatiusa.com/Fox Sports.
Of course, with Aroldis Chapman out there, if he's throwing as hard as he does and having the kind of strikeout totals that he has over his last couple of outings, maybe the people down close to the field are going to get what they needed all day long, and that will be a nice cool breeze. A little swing and a miss on the part of the Indians here in this inning.
Cord Phelps, switch hitter, turns around, bats right-handed, 0 for 2 in this game. Plus a walk. Phelps has only had 2 at-bats as a right-hander this season since his call-up from AAA Columbus. Digits on that pitch.
If you show it in slow motion, is 100 miles an hour really 100 miles an hour?
Does the tree make a noise when it falls in the forest? He has shown, hasn't he, and this is 4th appearance since coming back, much better control and location of his pitches.
Well, he's pitching more consistently. I mean, as far as without so many days off in between. This is the one really tough thing about being in his position in the bullpen, is that you don't always get called on every game. Nice slider right there at 89 miles an hour to put away Cord Phelps. Just when you think you're catching up to the fastball, Phelps fouled one off to the right side. Here comes the slider.
Well, that's got some nasty bite to it, doesn't it?
Well, you know, in order to throw a good breaking ball, you have to impart a lot of spin on the ball, and that takes arm speed. So it would stand to reason that the guys who throw the hardest would also have the best breaking balls. You know, case in point was Nolan Ryan. He not only had the best fastball in the big leagues when he was pitching, but he also had the best curveball.
Asdrubal Cabrera has fanned 3 times in this game. One out in the 8th. 2 runs, 7-5 Reds lead. Cairo, 2 out. Seven pitches, 6 strikes, 2 out here in the top of the 8th for Aroldis Chapman. Question still remains, of course, as to where he will be in his future in terms of the pitching staff. Bullpen, starter, up in the air.
Well, I'm not so sure long term that it's up in the air. I think there's some short term conversation, but Walt Jocketty has been, you know, pretty clear by saying that when the Reds went out and spent over $30 million in guaranteed money to sign Aroldis Chapman, they didn't do it to put him in the bullpen and have him pitch in middle relief. And, you know, we got a pretty good indication of what he might be able to evolve into if he could, you know, adopt what David Price did down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we really did.
I mean, Price is essentially the same type of build. Young, hard-throwing left-hander, worked very hard in his controls, got 3 pitches he can throw for strikes, and is one of the dominant pitchers in the American League. No reason to think that Chapman down the road couldn't do that.
10th pitch of this inning is fouled back. He just hit 101 on strike 2 to Carlos Santana. Well, you really just love to see the efficiency right here. 9 out of 10 strikes.
You know, it's okay for you to look at the radar gun board and for the fans to watch it. I just don't want to see Aroldis Chapman glancing up there and seeing how hard he's throwing.
That's a good point.
In fact, there are a lot of managers that would love to be able to manipulate that board. Now, there's rumor of teams doing that. I don't believe any of that. But there are managers who would like to, because they have pitchers that are so engaged with their speed on the radar gun board that they forget what it is that they're out there to do, which is get hitters out. So I don't want Aroldis Chapman pitching for the fans. I mean, that's a circus sideshow. Let's go ahead and let him get hitters out and then send him on up there to Kings Island and see if he can break the radar gun in the booth up there. Come back with a big stuffed animal, you know he did.
Santana hanging in there. He's fanned twice and grounded out. 0 for 3 in this game. 3 for 11 in the series. Indians went down in order. 3rd, 4th, and 5th against Lee. Scored twice in the 6th and once in the 7th. The first 2 have been set down here in the 8th. It almost got this thing to Cordero time.
Wouldn't you love to bring Chapman to the State Fair, though?
Just walk along with him.
Walk along with him, you know, and you walk up to the radar gun booth, you know, and you win a big doll if you can hit over, 90 or 100 miles an hour. And you pick out the biggest, plushest doll there, and you say, okay, Aroldis, cut her loose.
Let's see what you got, big boy. And he uncorks that. He'd break their speed gun. Nicely done by Chapman. A pair of strikeouts, but more importantly, a 1-2-3 15-pitch inning, sending us to the home 8th. It occurred in the Reds' 3rd. Look at that play by a catcher playing first base, Carlos Santana. That's Votto-like to retire Votto as our John Morrell hot dog play of the game. Meanwhile, new pitcher on. The fellow out of Wright State University and Cincinnati's Amelia High School, Joe Smith, is into the game.
Boy, has he turned himself into one of the best relievers in all of Major League Baseball. Look at this earned run average in 29 ball games. You give up less than a run per 9 innings. That's, when a reliever has a statistic like that next to his earned run average, that low, he hasn't had one bad game all year yet. Simple as that. He comes from a low sidearm angle, really gives those right-handers something to think about. I mean, it is not easy to hit this guy. Throws hard with a good breaking ball and comes from down around Laredo.
Manny Acta stuck with him yesterday in really a pivotal part, Chris, of that game in the 7th inning with the Indians leading 3-0. A walk, a strikeout, and then he gave up a hit in the 7th inning to Fred Lewis as a pinch hitter, and another pinch hit single to Renteria. Reds had him loaded with 1 out, but Stubbs tapped into a force play at the plate, and Phillips struck out. Joe Smith got out of it. Here he is, bottom of the 8th. Cairo, Yanish, and then the top of the order, trying to add to a 2-run, 7-5 lead of the Red Legs. 1 out. Joe Smith missed his senior year in high school baseball-wise due to an arm surgery, and that really is, I guess, what led him then to that sidearm delivery. Cut from the team as a freshman at Wright State, came back as a sophomore, changed to that sidearm delivery. In the big leagues for the 3rd consecutive year. Split time between AAA Columbus and Cleveland last year. Had some time at Columbus in 09. But here he is at 27 years old, full-fledged member of one of the best bullpens in the game with the Cleveland Indians. Giannis up there for the first time today. He's hitting .228 on the year with 19 RBIs. Struggling lately, 2 for his last 16. Did have a hit, 1 for 2 yesterday. The Indians in the 9th inning will have Sizemore and Chisenhall, a pair of left-handers, due up 1-2 in the inning. But is there any question that it'll be Francisco Cordero that works the ninth?
Not if it's a save situation. I don't think so. I mean, Dusty Baker has not since he's been around here anyway, and Francisco Cordero has been the closer during that period of time, that you're going to see him play bullpen by committee all of a sudden just because you run a couple of lefties out there.
Chisenhall. And Fred Lewis will come up with 2 men out and nobody on. Fred 2 out of 4 today. Chisenhall did commit an error, the only error of this game, and the only error committed by the Indians in this series. That occurred back in the first inning on a ground ball by Phillips, but it had no effect on the game. So here's Fred Lewis. Bottom of the 8th. We want to thank all the viewers who have sent the text messages to the troops overseas, and we hope that some of you folks in the military overseas have had an opportunity to write back. That opportunity was presented to you today by Fox Sports Ohio at foxsportsohio.com. Here on this 3rd of July, Reds will be in St. Louis tomorrow for the 4th, continuing this Independence Day weekend in the Gateway City. A-team back and forth tomorrow in St. Louis. Chris, you'll have Tom with you?
I wouldn't call that necessarily the A-team. I can tell you one thing, Jim Couch, I've really enjoyed working with you here this series against the Indians and this last road trip going through Baltimore and Tampa.
Yeah, we had a lot of good times. Way back by Lewis and caught by Sizemore. Boy, he put a charge into that ball. Reds go down in order for the second, actually the 3rd straight inning. Here we go now to the 9th. And now for the Nissan drive of the game. Let's take a look back to Chris Heisey's blast. That occurred in the 2nd inning. Solo shot, his 9th of the year. One of the 2 hits he's had in this game are Nissan drive of the game. It's a superhero weekend here at Great American Ballpark on July the 15th through the 17th when the Reds take on the Cardinals. And on Sunday, July the 17th, the first 10,000 kids 14 and younger receive a free kids superhero cape. Chris Welsh, thanks to Frisch's.
Nice.
For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com today. Changes for the Reds defensively. Drew Stubbs into the game now in center. Chris Heisey has shifted from center to left field. Fred Lewis is out of the game. And the closer in, Francisco Cordero.
It is a save situation. The Reds up by 2. Francisco looking for number 17.
He gets Sizemore, Chisenhall, and Shelley Duncan.
That out of Francisco Cordero, a first pitch changeup. I don't think I have ever seen him throw a first pitch changeup to start an inning off.
Big time rarity right there.
Yeah, Grady Sizemore looking fastball all the way, and he's way out in front of it.
Giannis just in the game gets the first chance of the 9th, and he makes the play. Grady Sizemore 1 for 4.
Francisco Cordero has done a lot on the mound for the Reds in closing games. He's also done so much for the Reds Community Fund, so much so that as far as donations to the Reds Community Fund, a portion of his salary, and I'm talking about a lot of money overall, and they will name a field at Pioneer Park, Francisco Cordero Field. It's over on Madison Pike in Covington. Big ceremony there on July the 16th. We'll get you more details on that as we come up on this coming road trip. But it's nice to see that all of his generous contributions to the community fund have beginning to kind of percolate to the top where people know about it. It's really one of the best kept secrets around. And I was talking to him before the ball game today about it. And he said, no, I'm not trying to keep it a secret. It's just that this is kind of the way it is. I like to do things like that.
He's had an all-star first half, hasn't he?
He really has. 2 blown saves overall. I mean, the only really difference between Cordero and a lot of closers that might be on that all-star team is the fact that they've had more opportunities. The Reds have had not that many close opportunities to win ball games.
16 of 18, as Chris mentioned, only the 2 blown saves, a 1.53 ERA overall, and an ERA of sub-1 at 0.90 in June. You want to keep this runner off base. Shelley Duncan waits on deck. Very capable of tying this game. Phillips. 2 out. Shelley Duncan represents the last chance. He's had 3 career ABs and 1 hit against Francisco Cordero, but he does not represent the tying run, and that's big. 7-5 Reds in the 9th. 34,948 here today.
Those that aren't stuck to their seats are standing up.
115,000 plus for this 3-game series. Can they peel themselves off those seats? A hot, humid day, but what we hope will be a successful one for the Reds. And now a strike away. Cordero thought about feeling that ball barehanded. Phillips had a shot at it. It looked like it may have kicked off the bag slightly. Indians keep it going with a Duncan infield hit.
Yeah, the reaction is you reach down with whatever hand is closest, and then you realize as the ball's coming, maybe I shouldn't do that. That ball did hit the bag. There's no way that Brandon, as good as he is even going to be able to field that one. So now you're in a situation that you really didn't want to find yourself with the tying run at the plate.
Here's their catcher, Lou Marson. He's 0 for 3 in the game, 1 for 11 in the series. Giannis gonna barehand and throw. Reds win. Boy, Giannis came on, made a nice play on that ball. He had 2 assists in the inning, and the Reds are not. They are not swept by the Tribe. They do not fall under the 500 mark. They get the victory here today, 7-5 over the Indians. And whether it's 1 or 3 wins in a row, Chris, it's momentum going on the road.
Well, you know what? You want to get out of here with a nice feeling that you at least play a little bit of baseball. They didn't hit well the last couple of nights. There's no question about that. They got beaten up pretty good by the Indians overall, who have find themselves with a winning interleague record. The Reds are behind interleague. They've lost the majority of the games that they played in interleague this year. They put that page behind them. They turn it and they move on. Big series coming up, 4th of July, celebrated in St. Louis, followed by Milwaukee. It doesn't get any better than baseball coming up. We got a lot to talk about before we get out of here, though.
Leak the win, Cordero the save. More in a moment.